Hi everyone, thanks for a great start to this second round of the course. Lots of you have been sharing your ideas via the Padlets and Triciders, and it's fantastic to see the level of engagement. We've also been growing quite rapidly in numbers, so welcome to all the newcomers. Now, in the first module, we explored two key questions. Why should we change our practices and how? It was great to see so much support for Deirdre's thoughts on the importance for us to become lifelong learners and openness to take risks. I think the most common sentence posted by you was, "I agree with Deirdre." So it's good that we've established that we are all in agreement that something has to change. But the more important question, the more difficult question, is how that change should happen. Now, collaboration and learning to learn were voted as the most important new skills to focus on in our teaching. But Irene Sakharlaraki made the valid point that before talking about how we foster these skills in our students, we have to think how we foster them in ourselves. Now, both are of course related. Lots of pictures and drawings were shared of your classrooms with some excellent reflections on how to change them. I was particularly struck by this drawing of Beate from Germany. While I wasn't clear if this was what her current classroom looked like or if what you would like her classroom to look like, it's great to see the parallels to the Future Classroom Lab here. Many have commented that the Future Classroom Lab is far from a real classroom, and while that is true, we have in fact seen many teachers come to the lab who have adopted some of the core ideas in their own classrooms, even though they had a lot less technology and money available. Now, if you want to hear more about this, make sure to attend our webinar this week. An interesting post that got my attention was from Susan Long in Australia, highlighting the resistance from students to changes in the classroom. It's an interesting point, and it would be good to hear from others what their experiences with this are. Now, in this module, we start to look at some factors to consider when creating your own vision for a future classroom, and introduce you to some tools that will help in the process. To start out with, Will Ellis introduces the concept of a future classroom scenario and provides two examples that were developed as part of the iTech project. We then look at the Future Classroom Scenario Toolkit, also known as EduVista. This toolkit suggests a process and a range of tools that support you in developing your own future classroom scenario. In other words, if you want to innovate your classroom or school, this is a very useful resource to get you thinking about a range of challenges and ways to approach them. Roger then focuses on two elements from this toolkit and the most important first steps in designing your own future classroom scenario. For example, when innovating our practices, it is important to think about the trends and challenges that will impact our work in the future, and also to listen to all our stakeholders. For the activity, we focus on educational trends and challenges. Listen to some ideas from a range of stakeholders such as policymakers, teachers, students, and tech companies about what the classroom of 2025 will look like, and use these ideas to discuss and rank different trends and challenges. Finally, we have our first live webinar this week, where Ariana Blazic, a teacher from Croatia, will tell us about her efforts to set up a future classroom at her school in Zagreb. Make sure to check out the relevant section in the module where you can also post your questions for Ariana in advance. It would also be great if you could take a moment to quickly answer the question at the end of this video if you plan to attend the webinar. That's it for now. See you next week on Module 3.